Breaking from Stephen Portnoy, reporting from inside the courtroom, Judge Jackson sentences Paul Manafort to 73 months in prison, some of which will run concurrent to the sentence handed down last week. Paula, your reaction?
It seems pretty fair. I mean, this is if nothing else, highlighting how complicated sentencing guidelines are. I would have expected that she might have gone even a little bit higher, but this is at the higher end of the range. She's going to allow him to serve some of his Virginia sentence alongside this, so it's not like they're going to stack and he'll spend the next 12 years of his life in prison. But it's important to remember, when he gets out, he will be on probation for several years, and there's also a big financial component to this. He has about $11 million that he needs to forfeit as part of this, ill-gotten gains, and then prosecutors are also seeking $6 million in restitution or a reimbursement to the IRS. So overall, this package of a sentence, it does appear to match the crimes and fit within the guidelines.
Bob, your reaction to that, and one of the questions that I was serving to Paula was in regards to the previous sentence that he'd received 4 years. A lot of people saying, look, there are people in jail right now that have done far less than what Mr. Manafort was accused and eventually convicted of doing, who have received far more time. There was this great discussion happening in this country about the discrepancy between white-collar crime and very low-level, for example, drug offenders. This sentence of 73 months, will that help to sort of allay that, or will that discussion continue?
Oh, well, that discussion should continue because it's still a very real problem. But I think that overall now, if my calculation is correct, Manafort is going to get a total sentence of about 90 months or 7.5 years. And he's getting credit for several months that he's already spent in custody. So he's probably looking at about 7 more years in jail for a 70-year-old man. But it's important to remember again that this is not the last step in this process. If Manafort has been looking for a pardon or for clemency from President Trump, it doesn't really matter to him whether he gets a 10-year sentence or a 2-year sentence if he's expecting the president to wipe that all out.
Right. So it looks like, and I'm doing the calculations along with the both of you, count 1, 60 months with 30 months concurrent with the EDVA sentence, that's the Virginia sentence, and count 2, 13 months to run consecutive to count 1 along with the EDVA sentence, Bob.
Right. And so the 60 months on count 1, if you take he nets out to about 30 months after you take out the part that's going to be served concurrent with Judge Ellis' sentence. So that's a total of 43 months additional on top of the 47 months that Judge Ellis sentenced him to.
Okay. So, Paula, the other question, I guess, as we wait for the wire that gives us the exact math as to the number of months Mr. Manafort is going to actually serve, what kind of prison is he going to go to?
Well, his lawyers have asked if he can go to a facility that will have some sort of medical support. I mean, people affectionately call these club-fed facilities. It's low security, someplace where he can get the medical support for his gout, but he's not going to be under really strict conditions, unlike, for example, El Chapo, who's headed to Florence, Colorado, to his Supermax. They want something with minimal security so he can have visits from his family, but also because of his age and his health, they have asked for a place where he can get the medical care that he needs. It is likely that the court will probably grant that request, but it's not clear specifically where he'll serve out this term.
Okay, so again, I want to just refine the reporting that we have on the exact sentence that Mr. Manafort has received, Bob Litt, there in D.C. for us. Sentence 60 months. So now 60 months for count 1, concurrent to 30 months previously imposed in Virginia, 13 months for count 2, consecutive to count 1, and the sentence in Virginia, 36 months supervised release to run concurrently to Virginia, restitution of over $6 million that will only be paid once, and the judge, declined to fine Mr. Manafort.
Right. When you take into account the restitution and the forfeitures, Manafort has suffered a fairly substantial financial penalty as a result of this offense.